What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Denise Salcedo, and I am very stoked because today I finally got him. He is here, WWE Hall of Famer, world's strongest man, and my co-host on Saturdays, Mark Henry. Mark, you finally made it here to the channel.
I made it. You know what? I got held up today, Denise, and it was a good held up. Shelton Benjamin just happened to be in town, and I kept telling him, I went and met him, and I was like, bro, I got to go home. And he was like, what time you got to go home? And I looked down, and my phone, I was like, oh my God, it's noon. We've been talking for 2 hours. And then you texted me, and I was like, oh, shoot. I gotta go.
You should have told me. I would have rescheduled so that you could have time to talk with him.
No. He had to drive back to Houston anyway, and I talk to him all the time. He just happened to be in Austin. It was just it's always good to connect with people that you have good relationships with. And contrary to popular belief, everybody thinks that everybody in the wrestling industry is cool, and everybody in the wrestling industry is not cool. Like it's like you're tight with who vibe with you and who you have a solid relationship with, and that's outside of wrestling as well as inside of wrestling. And me and Shelton, we like really tight.
That's the thing, though, and I was about to mention, I feel like you know and are tight with everybody because every time I hear your stories, you're saying, oh, I was hanging out with this person. Oh, I was having breakfast with CM Punk. Oh, I was doing this with that person. And so it kind of feels like you're in good with everybody. So I kind of find it a little hard to believe, at least just with you. With other people, sure. But with you, I don't know.
You know what? When I die, I think that my connection and the fact that I was a mentor to a lot of people is going to be brought up, because I've done my whole life, I spent trying to help make the wrestling business better and letting people know that you're not bigger than the business. So as soon as you get that in your mind, the better. And company owners appreciate that. But the talents are not surprised if they are connected to me. And I don't bullshit people. There's people that don't like me because they used to people bullshitting them, and they want to be lied to, and I'm not going to. So when people come to me, they know right off the bat, damn, if Mark said that, then it's a reason he said it.
I feel like that's kind of the better thing because, again, sometimes you just don't want smoke blown up your ass. Sometimes you definitely want the truth. I feel that when you're a no BS person, like you said, it just means a lot more whenever you give somebody a compliment or a criticism.
Yeah, and the criticisms come with it. Like, there is no building without failure. And, like I try my best to let people know that it's not going to happen overnight. And you're going to fail more times than you would like to. But once you get it, you got it forever. And that old term is just like riding a bike. I know people that don't ride bicycles. That my mother-in-law has never rode a bike in her life. They were poor kids that never could afford them. And then by the time she got to high school, college age, she was afraid of falling and wouldn't get on.
Oh, poor thing.
So there's that.
Oh, man. Well, Mark, I got to tell you, there's so many questions that I got for you, so many different things that I want to hit on. But I want to start off with something that just happened that's recent in the news. And I want to tie this into one of your pivotal career moments. So last night, Money in the Bank, we found out that John Cena is retiring. Now, of course, we all remember when you did your swerve of your retirement speech, it was with John Cena, thus turning on, attacking John Cena in that moment. So it's almost like, I don't know, because of that connection, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the news and kind of just like tie it into that moment.
I'm happy for him. Now he can get out of his own way. And when I say get out of your own way, the expectation from the companies, the expectation from the fans of continuing to be in the ring is over with. There's no pressure. Now he can go in, and John Cena is smart enough to run a company. He's got enough cachet to get big time talents to come over wherever he is, because they know they're going to be mentored properly. And John is not a bullshitter. So, like, if he was a director of talent relations, or which is a job that's kind of beneath his pay level, I mean, if you're going to make $5-10 million to do a movie, that's going to supersede having a job that you make $400,000 a year for, which is a good living and a lot of money, but it ain't John Cena money. And, you know, like, I don't think John is worried about life insurance and 401ks and things to the like. So, like, I'm just proud that he's going to be able to be revered and respected as somebody that's been there, done that. And when people bring him in, they know it's to be on a panel and not to be in the ring.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of really great points there. And with The Rock, as part of the board, do you think there's any chance that John Cena does something along those lines where he joins the board?
You know what? I can see it. But I think that it would have to be a situation where he felt like he actually had say so. Because at that level, like, you don't want to go in and be told what to do. You want to be able to go in and contribute and say, look what I did. I added this. And, you know, I feel like I'm able to do that. It's just that a lot of times, you know, people listen and people don't listen. And I think that if John Cena went home, went to WWE, the TKO board would it would be a bonus to have him in the office.
Hell yeah, it definitely would. So, oh man, I can't believe it that that's happening. I do have one more question regarding John Cena for you. And obviously, we all think about the moment where you swerved him and everybody else. But do you have any personal favorite stories between you and John?
John Cena, first day, he came from California to Ohio Valley Wrestling, and he needed a ride to the hotel that we were staying at. And so I gave him a ride, and he was like, man, who do you ride by yourself when you go to the shows, or you tend to, you know, have people ride with you? And I said, I usually ride by myself because most of the folks listen to rock and roll and I listen to hip hop. He's like, listen, I listen to hip hop. I love to be able to ride with you. I said, hell yeah. And I found out that during his diet, he was dieting at the time. And I don't know if he was getting ready for a bodybuilding show or he just liked to be lean. He was not drinking water for a week. The only thing he drank was Diet Mountain Dew. And I was shocked. I was like, man, you need to drink some water. Nah, this makes me pee. If I drink water, I'm gonna hold it. And I was like, listen, man, the human body does not run on Diet Mountain Dew. Water is the medicine. Every doctor you go to, the first thing they'll ask, are you drinking water?
Yeah.
He was like, I'll be all right. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And I remind him of it all the time. Every time I'll see him and I'll go, had you Diet Mountain Dew lately? He'll go, I was young and stupid.
Aw, well, at least now we know he's not doing it anymore. I feel like everyone goes through that phase though, right?
No.
Have you gone through a phase like that, Mark? Especially considering, like, you know, your size and your strength, and you always hear stories of athletes and things that they eat or things that they decide to do because, I don't know, for whatever reasons, like John Cena's reason with the Diet Mountain Dew. Did you ever do anything crazy like that?
Yes, I did the blood allergy diet where they take your blood and they tell you what you're allergic to and what you're not. and there was really like 6 foods that I was not allergic to, that I could eat as much of it as I want to, and it wouldn't make you gain weight. And salmon and spinach were 2 of those. And thank God I didn't have a nut allergy. I could eat almonds, cashews, peanuts. I could eat whatever kind of nuts and break those down. Strawberries were in the green, and then it had the listing: what was green, what was yellow, what was orange, and what was red. And red meat was in the red for me. So I went a calendar year without eating red meat.
Dang.
And that was when I was in Louisville when I met John. And I got down to 317, which is the lowest that I've ever been since middle school. And it was hard to stay there. But every Friday, I would say, to hell with it. And I would go eat at my favorite places, eat whatever I wanted to eat. And I would gain like 5 pounds in one day.
Oh my God.
Because my body was like, I wasn't retaining any water or nothing like that, because I didn't have a lot of sodium in me. And when I did, wow, it was, I would gain like 5 or 6 pounds in a day.
Oh my God. I mean, that's like kind of insane. I can't even imagine that. But then again, it's like, well, you're the world's strongest man for a reason, Mark. It's a different situation, I would say.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I do want to go ahead and it's funny because I want to connect this to earlier I was saying that I feel like you kind of know everybody. And one of the things that I have learned about you with doing the Busted Open show is that you have had some interesting roommates. And for those of you who don't know, some of the ones that I know of that you've had, AJ Styles, you mentioned at one point, and The Rock. So I want to go into that because that thing's like super fascinating to me. The roommates that you've had, the stories, best roommates, worst roommates, all of that.
My college roommate, Tim McCrae, was probably the best because unlike everybody else I was ever in roommates with, Tim liked the room like it cold. So like 65 to 70 degrees didn't bother him. Like he would be like, shit, man, the colder the better. And it wasn't like Tim was a big dude. Tim was like 165 pounds, 170 pounds. So he wasn't huge, but he still liked the cold. The Rock was like the next person I ever roomed with, and he could not stand it cold, and wanted the temperature to be like 75. And I was like, bro, you need to go to your room and open a window or something, because it's I'll sweat to death if I was 75 degrees. And me and AJ never were like roommates. We just rode together.
Okay, got it.
Me, him, and D-Lo, I rode with. Kane, I rode with. Teddy Long, I rode with. Tony Atlas, I rode with. Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, I rode with for like 2 years. And that was pretty much it. Like I never really rode with other people. I tried to ride with, God rest his soul, Big Viscera, but Vis used to smoke weed, and we had one road trip, and I was like, my head was out the window most of the trip, and I was driving, so that wasn't gonna work.
So was that would you consider Viscera your worst road trip partner ever?
Yeah, because he used to try to shotgun me. He would like blow smoke my way, and I'm like, come on, man, stop doing that. And he would laugh. He had the best laugh of anybody I ever met. He was one of the most loving guys that and I rode with Yoko, but I really didn't ride with Yoko. I drove Yoko.
Oh, what was he like?
I was his young boy. I was his driver. I was the gopher. Go get this for me. Take Mark. We'd be on the road for like 2 weeks sometimes, and I would go do my laundry, and Yoko would say, "Hey man, can you finna go to laundry? You do mine too." I was all right. I did laundry. I did whatever he told me to do because that's what Vince put me in the car with him for, to make sure he didn't have to do nothing but show up and do main events.
Yeah. So what was he like though? Like what was his personality like? Because off of the camera.
So much fun. Like, I mean, we both had real similar interests. We both liked basketball a lot, and we would go places that had gyms so we could hoop. And of course, the eating Olympics. If there was ever such a thing as the eating Olympics, me and Yoko put some food back, boy. I remember just me and him one time went to a steakhouse, and just two people had a $360 bill. And not one beer or not one glass of wine was consumed.
Just meat.
Just food. Just meat and sides and appetizers and desserts. We knocked that menu out.
Oh my God. How were you amazed by how much he ate, or was he amazed by how much you ate?
No, I was
Who
trying
top
to keep
two?
up. I was trying to keep up, and man, I'm glad we didn't have far to drive because I was food drunk. I was not worth a dime.
Oh my God. I love hearing these stories because it really just like puts into perspective what it's like to be part of, to be a wrestler, to be part of get to share these memories with all of these legends and whatnot.
He used to have a food plate, a hot plate on the truck, and a pot, and he would go to the grocery store and get turkey tails.
I don't even know what that is.
Like, the tails of turkey. Or like, how there's a chicken tail?
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. I know now.
So he would get the turkey tails, or he would have somebody from a meat market go get them for him. And he would boil them, had the seasonings and everything, and he would cook it at the arena.
Damn.
Turkey tails.
Damn. Oh, that's freaking cool.
I'm not making it up. Ask any of the Samoans. They'll tell you. And mayonnaise. He would dip them in mayonnaise.
Oh my God.
You know what he used to call mayonnaise?
No, what?
Samoan steroids.
What? Mayonnaise? Wait, does he like really? Oh, I need the backstory for this one.
You need to have Rikishi on. I'm gonna send you Rikishi's number. I was say, man, you got to go on and talk about Yoko with Denise. He was fun though. He wasn't as much of a practical joker as Kishi. I think Kishi was the biggest practical joke out of everybody, but Yoko was hilarious, man. What a good man.
Man, so much love. That's so cool that you got to, be his young boy essentially. And hey, I'm sure at the time it was.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And I want to get into this time period because Mark, you have had such an interesting journey. Obviously, going to the Olympics, going from the Olympics to pro wrestling. I want to help me fill in the gap there though, because before you got recruited to WWE, what was your plan? What was your plan after the Olympics? What were you planning on doing?
Actually, I was going to go back and play football.
Oh, okay.
Because I was a pretty good football player, and everybody was convinced that they can make me the best defensive tackle in football. And I had a 5 flat 40, 33-inch vertical. My lifting numbers were off the charts. I did 55 reps with 225. So if I went to the combine today, only Larry Allen would have been able to do the things I did. and he was like a 9-time All-Pro.
So you just decided, like, okay, what happened there? Why didn't you continue to pursue that?
Because Vince called and made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I wanted a guarantee because I was going to give up lifting, which is what made me who I was. I had to have a guarantee. If I'm gonna quit doing what I love and what made me who I am, like, this is what it costs to do that. In football, they wasn't willing to do that. In fact, I was going to have to pay money for a Lords of London insurance policy.
Oh.
Which would have set me back a few grand. And I was like, man, I don't have it. But WWF at the time was like, look, it's going to take you about 3 years to get it. And then we'll have 7 years to work with. And this is a number that we think would be fair. And I was like, that looks fair, but what's the guarantee? Oh, it's 100%. So I was the first wrestler to have a guaranteed contract in pro wrestling.
Damn. And I mean, that is to have that guaranteed money, and then you're going into this entire new world. I mean, what were your feelings, your emotions heading into this world of professional wrestling, which, you know, you were just getting involved in, going from the Olympics to pro wrestling? What was even running through your mind?
Denise, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I've never been afraid in my life.
Minus except for snakes, spiders, scary things.
Hey, no, I didn't say that I didn't have anxiety and phobias, but like as far as like being in front of people, and I've been a clown my whole life. I was like Eddie Murphy as a little kid. When all the family got together, I was the entertainment. They didn't have to have the TV on. Hey, Mark, come here and tell a joke.
Yeah.
Sing a song. Do that dance you like to do. I was the entertainment. So, like, Vince saw that right away. He was like, hey, man, like, you like to have a good time, don't you? I said, hell yeah, I do. And if you pull up Mark Henry at Foot Locker Slam Fest, I would do these celebrity slam dunk contests. And used to place, used to do well. And I would own the crowd. I would own them. 20,000 people. My first time in front of 20,000 people was not in a wrestling match. Like my first time in front of 20,000 people was the Olympic Games. And you one guy lifting weights in front of the whole world. And it was, in fact, like, I think 2 billion people watch the Olympics.
It's insane.
The stage ain't never been too big for me.
Yeah, and it's I mean, when you even try to think about how many people watch that, the people that you performed in front of, like, it almost doesn't even feel like it computes. Like, you don't even like realize just how many people were seeing that, and that you were in the Olympics
Twice.
Oh my God.
And a 4-time national champion.
Yep.
And a world champion in 3 sports that have nothing to do with each other. Like, when you start talking about accomplishments, there's not many athletes ever born that have my level of accomplishments. I didn't make the money that the gymnastics and track people and basketball and, you know, other sports made, but I got just as much notoriety as they did. And I competed in a sport where they allowed you to cheat. They said they drug tested, but there was a lot of people that didn't get drug tested. And then when they did get drug tested, they failed. You know, so like it was I had made my mind up that after 96 that I was going to either play football or wrestle. So I was set.
I feel like you made the right decision.
I made the right choice.
Yeah. So that brings me to my next question here, because you're saying that Vince McMahon saw that you were clearly down for pretty much anything. And anybody here knows that you were involved in some very interesting angles and storylines throughout your career. And when you think about those, during that time, How did you feel about some of the stuff that you had to do or some of the stories that you were involved in WWF, WWE at the time? What, I mean, did you ever feel like, oh, I can't do this, this is too much? Or did you just like, were you just having fun with
There
it?
was only one thing that I wasn't going to do. And they tried, but I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I know y'all wanted to do it, but I just can't. I enjoyed every minute of my career. And there was really nothing I did that I didn't want to do except when they wanted to do the silverback thing. And I was like, man, I'm a black man in America. I got little black kids all over the world look up to me. The last thing I need to do is call myself a fucking primate. Like, people already, like my daughter, I had to move my daughter out of a school here in Austin because she got called a gorilla. Like, I don't play that. Like, my mama raised us to love everybody, regardless of what your skin color was. She welcomed everybody in her house and used to tell us, if I hear you say anything remotely close to being racist, I'll take you out this world myself. That's the severity. Like, we didn't play that in my family. And when I was growing up, my mom cleaned houses and cooked. And the people, all the people that she worked for were white. And a lot of times people would go out of town or they would go on vacation and they would leave their kids. My mom would take care of the kids. So I played with everybody growing up and didn't know that there was a difference in my little small country town till I got to middle school. I was so sheltered as a little bitty kid. You know, I didn't know I was poor until I left Silsbee. They was like,
Get
damn, you made how much? Man, I thought that having $500 was you might as well said I had a 10,000. I ain't think I could ever spend $500. That's how poor we was. I said a lot of money. That was a lot of money back then. So
I still feel it's a lot of money to this day.
Listen, that's a good meal for me and Yoko.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there you go. And an extra splurge right there, an extra splurge with you even have some change left over right there. But that's the thing that, like, I feel that the fact that you look back and you were always having fun. For you, what was the storyline that you just thought, man, this is freaking great, or anything where you felt like you had to challenge yourself a little bit more?
Oh, sexual chocolate. Sexual chocolate was the best.
It gives you a little confidence, like walking around. I'm sexual chocolate. Hey,
man, I had so much fun doing that, and I had to convince Vince that and D-Lo was like, "They not gonna let you say that on TV," and I'm like, "Yeah, they are, man. Like, watch, we're gonna do it." And Vince said, "You're the only person I ever met in my life that wants to lose. Like, what do you mean you don't need to win?" I was like, because the whole point of the character is he gets distracted by the ladies. He gets distracted by the moment. And then they put, like, once he saw how successful it was the first 2 or 3 times we tried it, and he would laugh his ass off. And then I would come to the back and he was like, listen, okay, hold on a minute, let me catch my breath. And then we're gonna do this. And then he put me with like people like Alex Greenfield and like the other WWE writers, and they really poured into sexual chocolate. And that's where all that other stuff came from with the Mae Young and all of that, and the dates with China and so forth. But it couldn't do no wrong. Like, it just, man, it's like I'm 53 years old. Everywhere I go, somebody will come up to me and go, "Hey, sexual chocolate."
every time I can imagine. So wait, sexual chocolate was then your idea?
Yeah, I got that name from Coming to America.
Oh.
And and I was like, I want to play a character that is distracted, that just love the ladies, and it's funny. And Vince was like, "Man, we put too much money into you to make you a comedic act," but he finally gave in.
Well, Mark, don't they always say that the best characters are the best gimmicks are the ones that are truest to their real self?
Oh, I'm. There's a lot of sexual chocolate to me.
Yeah.
Not so much now. I'm an old man. Getting married ruined my gimmick.
Oh man, you're like, it's still real to me, damn it. I'm still sexual chocolate.
Shit, tell my wife that to bring your ass home.
I'm dead. All right. So I do want to talk about, of course, Mae Young. I have to get to that because, Mark, I remember when I was watching, I was like astonished. I didn't know what was happening. I'm freaking out. Oh my God, what is this? What am I seeing? I mean, obviously, everybody I'm sure has asked you about it, but it was such a, it felt very like extreme at the time of, oh my God, Mark Henry and Mae Young, what are we doing? What is happening? Right. So when you think back to those moments, like what's the thing that sticks out to you the most?
You know what? The car rides, like talking to her about her life and what she went through and how she was perceived and the way people judged her. And it was like the real serious stuff. Like she told me that she knew what it was like to be Black, being a woman in the time that she was in. And she used to dress in the locker room with Mildred Burke and some of the other Black female wrestlers that they would work on the road with, and they treated all the women the same. She was like, they treated the Black women bad and they treated the white women bad. They did not want women in wrestling during that time. It was horrible. And the stuff that she tells me, I just go, you know what, man, thank God that we evolved from that.
Yeah, and I feel like it gives you working with someone like working with Mae Young, especially when she was already at that age. I feel like sometimes you forget, like when people are older, like they have stories, they have wisdom to pass down. So hearing that you actually got to able to connect with Mae Young on that kind of a level where you're talking about serious life stuff, I feel like that's a really nice thing. And many people probably wouldn't have imagined that just seeing the on-screen stuff.
Oh no, not at all, man. I got the same thing riding with Teddy Long. I got the same thing riding with Mickey James. Learned about her culture and the I remember driving in the Northeast with her and her crying because of her telling stories about the stuff that her grandmother and mother and people would say. And I was just like, damn, like the atrocities of this country affected the American Indian as much as it did slavery and as much as it did the Jewish people in this world. So, just like to be able to be with people that share in your love for this country, but they also understand the torment and how much harder it was to work to get where you wanted to go. That's been one of the more special things I've experienced in wrestling.
Getting to know all those people, and of course just spending so much time with them, whether you're traveling or just waiting, and because production days, as you know, are incredibly long.
Hurry up and wait. That's the whole thing. You get there early so everybody know you're there, you're 100% reliable, and then you just wait for 5 hours before the show starts.
You're just like losing, because I feel it's so funny because I know some people, there you go, twiddling your thumbs. Were you the person that got ready hours ahead of time?
No.
Or did you wait like till the moment of?
No, I about 2 hours before I would start stretching, and then I would go shower, brush my teeth, and put my gear on and go to the training room and get heat and like wrap my knees or whatever was some kind of ailment I had, and it was just a process. You know, we talked about that on the master's class, and you know, like things that you did, routines that you went through to get ready for your performance. And you know, I just had a whole schedule planned every time. Try to keep it the same.
Yeah, because I know there's some wrestlers that get early, like really, really early, and like the whole day they're just ready, right? Because it's this anticipation I can imagine of wanting to go out there and have your moment, and you're just like, okay, I'm ready, like the entire way through.
Yeah, Steve Blackman.
Ah, was he was like that?
Steve was dressed like 45 minutes him getting to the building. He walk around, got his karate suit on.
Yeah.
He's like, hey man, you know the show don't start for like, 6 more hours. I'm good.
I love that. I seriously love that. That's so fun. All right. So, Mark, I do want to go ahead and transition into some other topics here. And I want to ask you about, and this one here, I was scrolling the other day on Instagram, and one of the first things that popped up was this image of Jade, Bianca, and Samantha, and all of them are sitting together. And it said, I think the caption was Mark Henry's Angels.
I'm Charlie.
Yeah. And so, you know, they're all very different performers, very different talents, and you have brought them here to the WWE. You recruited them. You were part of their process in making it here. So I have a lot of questions about this because they're not the only ones. Talk to us about some of the other names and people that you have helped recruited or helped get to the either WWE or AEW, because I know that you're very you're very hands-on and like to help people with that type of stuff.
Braun Strowman, Baron Corbin, Bryan Danielson, Apollo Crews, Rich Swann. Man, I mean, it's. I'm sitting here. I'm starting to lose track. Like, there's people that I'm like, look, call me when you find out what's going on, so I can, tell you what protocols to take to get that done. And the training philosophy is, there's always going to be coaches that teach you how to do an arm lock, how to do a headlock. I'm going to teach you why you do a headlock. I'm going to teach you when to do a certain move. I'm going to give you the psychology behind where do you put things in your matches, why you put them there, and to be able to make it pay off for the people that's watching, because they don't want you to, man, I equate wrestling to having a personal physical relationship with your significant other. There's a lot of teasing that's got to be involved. Then the precursor foreplay, if you will, and sometimes if you won't. And then there's the when you kiss somebody, like that's like establishing the heat. If you like if you're getting the heat on somebody, like it's got to be like passionate, and I need to grab your attention and put you in that place. And it's the same thing with a hope spot as a babyface. Like when you go through that heat, you got to be able to reciprocate. You got to be able to come back and fight back and make people feel you and really like love and be on the same page. And then you have your finishes. But that's the way that I teach psychology. I don't teach you how to wrestle, but I also teach you the business of wrestling and the protocols. Like the boss is not always right, but they own the company. You there to do a job. If you work at McDonald's, you can't go up there and say, shit, I'm a fried chicken today. They want you to make the damn burgers the way they tell you to make the damn burgers. Do what you're told to do, and then you'll be all right. It's not fair for everybody in wrestling. There are people that get just like Hollywood. There are people that end up being like Carlton. Every time you see Alfonso Romero, you're going to think Carlton. It don't matter what role you play. So go play your role the best way you can play it. Same thing with Urkel. Jaleel White, great actor. He's just now starting to get other roles. The guy that everybody hates, Chris, the actor, that he just now getting other roles. It took 10 years of separation between him to get another job. And that's the way it is in wrestling. Sometimes you get typecast. You get pigeonholed. And you got to think at the end of the day, do I want to go work at the post office or Home Depot? And I say that because that's what Rip Rogers taught me. Hey, the post office is always hiring. Pro wrestling is a specialized business where you got to check your ego. And if you're really good, you might be able to make a transition into something else, into another role, but most people don't. And then the time runs out. You stop being young. You stop being beautiful. You stop being, all muscled up. We all get old. And it's not fair that some people don't get it until they're 40 or 50 years old. But once upon a time, all wrestlers that were really over were like 40 or 50 years old. Then the young transition came, and now it's a different game. But people have to be taught, hey, it's a different game. You got to play the game the way it's played. And I'm not saying that now because I'm an old guy. I'm saying that because that's the way it is. And you can look at the analytics. Like the study of wrestling says that the demographics between 18 to 37, they spend more focus on people that are 18 to 37. You start getting older than 37, people start looking the other way. I want to look at what's going on in NXT. So you better try to hurry up and get there. It ain't many people that's, like the boogeyman where you come in at 45 and you become great. It don't happen like that for everybody.
And one of the things that you mentioned that I thought was interesting was, people's egos, right? A lot of people, there's going to be a lot of egos, especially when it comes to pro wrestling, because people got, you want to be a star, right? Everybody signs up for this because they want to be a star. So when you're breaking in, especially as a new talent, and you're in there with these big names and you're just starting to get your footing, how do you go about that? How do you handle the backstage politics? How do you handle the egos and making sure you don't step on the wrong toes or making sure you don't accidentally get heat?
You be quiet. You go in with your mouth shut and your ears open, and you make yourself available to people. Hey, I really would like to learn how to do this, and I'm a fan. I don't want to brag. I don't want to say it too loud, especially around these other guys. But if you could show me how you do that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, learn to play the game. And Triple H, his songs, like, it's all about, it's not about the game, it's how you play it. That's the truest words that was ever spoken. Like, you have to learn to play the game. You got to not try to put yourself above the industry. The business will put you above the industry. You can't do it. Because you ask Triple H, The Rock, John Cena, man, there have been guys that all of them looked at and wonder, damn, how did this guy not make it? He was everything. His mouth, his ability to not be patient, him not wanting to work with other people, wanted everybody always to work for him. There have been people in this industry that was better than everybody I mentioned, and you'll never hear their name because they could not play the game. Learn to play the game.
That makes all the sense in the world.
And
I get
that's
it.
what I teach. I teach how to play the game. And I got a very high success rate.
Yeah, I mean, one of the names that you mentioned, Bryan Danielson. What's the story there? I don't think I know the story there.
I saw him wrestle in Canada. He was with ROH, and he was doing like a spot show for somebody in Canada. And I saw him, and I was like, damn, who is that guy? Like, he was already good. He just was 160 pounds and like 5'10". And I was like, man, who do I know in Canada that would know this promotion? And Ricky Corderas, Jimmy Corderas. And I called Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, you know these people, man? I'm trying to get a hold of that guy that worked their main event. And he was like, all right, let me reach out. And he came back and gave me a phone number. And it was Brian's number. And I said, hey, man, like, you good as hell, man. I was like, you ever thought about going to WWE? And he was like, yeah, right. He was like, you know, I'd love to, but you know, I don't think I'm on their radar. And I said, well, you're on my radar. I'm going to get you a tryout. And I called, and they was like, man, how big is he? And I lied. I said, shit, he probably about 6 feet tall, maybe 200 pounds. And John Laurinaitis cussed me out when he got to Tampa, to the school for his tryout. And I told him, I was like, hey, all you got to do is watch him work, though. And they watched him work, and they were like, holy shit, dude is good. And I ain't catching no more heat. You know, it's like I had to lie to get him in the door. He was good enough already. I didn't have to teach him nothing. I never taught Bryan Danielson nothing. I opened the door and moved out the way.
Damn, I gotta tell you, I was like stunned when you said I just lied just to get him in the front, like point blank. You just got him in the front door. You got him to go and be seen by the people, the powers that be in WWE.
You're not always proud of lying because you're not supposed to lie. But in some cases, you do it for the better good. You're not doing it because you're trying to get away with something or you're trying to hurt somebody. And I didn't think that I was hurting nobody. Hell, I thought I was doing the company a service. And you know, they made millions of dollars of him being champion. And I got a high five. Good job, Mark.
Good job. Thumbs up. Thanks, Mark. We appreciate you. Have a good day.
But you know what? I got paid off. I got put in a prominent position. I got to wrestle the best wrestlers in the company and prove myself. I had opportunity. They gave me opportunity for my job. And I'm in the Hall of Fame because of those opportunities and how much work I was willing to put into it. And, you know, so I got paid back.
Are you ever, or has there ever been a conversation to bring you into WWE in an official capacity for recruitment? Not just like, oh, how you're doing it now, but like in an official capacity?
No, I would never apply for that job because I know the people that have that job, and I would never step on their toes. They're friends of mine. If the WWE talked to them and said, hey, we want to bring Mark in to do this, that would be them telling them. I would never write it down and apply for it. I wouldn't do it. And they asked me to do stuff. I went and scouted people at the Olympics. Ty Conte was one of the people that I scouted. man, there's been Helen Marcolis, Olympic wrestler, back before they were even looking at Olympic athletes, because they didn't think Olympic athletes would give it up and come and take a chance at pro wrestling. Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah, especially now, it's definitely wrong. We've been seeing that a whole lot more.
Yeah,
And not
all
just,
you got to do is go to NXT. It's like 10 of them down there.
Yeah, not even just like Olympics, also like just even those that didn't go to the Olympics. So many athletes.
Look at Chad Gable and Otis.
Yep.
You know, it works.
It definitely does. Mark, I do want to go ahead and get into one more topic before we transition to our closing of the game. But AEW, I do want to touch on that because that was your latest adventure that you took upon. What were your expectations when you first got brought on to AEW? And what was that experience there, considering that it was a young company and still is a young company?
My goals were to go in and polish people that were they were doing jobs already and doing them well, might I add. But just to use the term Bully used, tighten screws, because they weren't broken. I just wanted to help out and make everything better. And in the process, I told Cody, hey man, we have got to create a community involvement division. We got to start doing educational programming and go out in the communities and give as much as we take. And he was like, that'd be great. And, Cody and Brandy, of course, both left. And I was left there with the charity division. And there were other people that came in and wanted to do it. And no ego, I moved aside. Here you go. Because I had already did everything I wanted to do. I wanted to establish it, and I wanted to put the focus on it. That happened. Now, move on. And I had never done announcing before. I had never been at the announce table. I never did backstage interviews. I never came up with a catchphrase for getting a show started or a main event, a finish, or none of that. I never did none of that. And they gave me an opportunity to do that. And I'm very thankful because it helped me scratch an itch that I never had in wrestling.
And it's funny because you mentioned how you never had that catchphrase for the announcing. You never had any experience announcing or doing anything like that. Yet you did it for the period of time that you did it. And it's time for the main event stuck with everybody. Everybody. Yes, because it just brightened people's day.
They took it away from me.
Wait, say that again?
I said it got over till they took it away from me.
Oh. That's heartbreaking.
I only pouted for about 2 days because I'm not a pouter.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, they want to go a different direction and get younger. I get it. Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Don't worry. We're always going to remember it's time for the main event. Always. All right, Mark. So I do want to go ahead and transition into this lightning round game that I play with all my guests.
Come on, let's do it.
Random questions, and you answer them however you please. All right. So here we go. First question: what's the scariest thing you've ever done?
Climbed on top of the cage during that silverback era.
Question
I'm afraid of heights. You mentioned it. I got phobias.
Yeah. Question number 2. What was it like being in the Olympics? And did you ever run into Kurt Angle?
I did. I used to work out with Kurt.
Oh, shit. What was that like?
When Kurt would come to get ready for World Universities or Olympic trials or American Opens and stuff like that, they would have a camp at the Olympic Training Center where I live. And Kurt would come, and it would be a big deal because they used to call him Hips. Hips is coming, and because nobody can hold Kurt. And I went to the locker room. I said, I can hold him. If I can grab him, I can hold him. And they were like, "Nah, Mark, I'm telling you, can't nobody in the world hold him." And I said, "Well, we're going to find out today." And we went back there in the wrestling room because wrestling and weightlifting was separated by double doors. And so I walked in there one day after practice and I was like, "Where's Kurt?" And they were like, "He over here." I was like, "They said nobody can hold you. They told me to come here and grab you." And he said, "All right, you ready?" And I was like, "Well, tell me how to grab you first. Hell, I don't know how to grab nobody." And he was like, "Here, hold me like this and this." And man, he rocked one way, rocked the other way, and got away from me. I was like, "How in the hell did you do that?"
Oh man.
Like a magic trick.
Also, like when I think about like you working out with him too, like I know he had like a very intense workout regimen, like his whole entire life.
I didn't do the wrestling workouts. Hell no, I couldn't do it. Them dudes, listen, there's no sport in the world that trains like wrestling. Not jiu-jitsu, not kickboxing. Wrestlers have the hardest workout of any athlete on the planet. Bar none. Not even close.
Oh my God, that's so cool. All right. We kind of talked about this one, but who's your fave and least fave road trip partner?
This, because he used to blow smoke at me. My favorite, I'm Darren Young and Titus O'Neil they were like Laurel and Hardy. I laughed the whole time I was in the car with them. They just amused the shit out. We got pulled over by the cops. One time Darren was driving and Titus was in the back seat. I was in the passenger seat. And the cops are behind and Fred is losing it. He like, "Oh God, man. Oh man, we're going to jail." And Titus is in the back just instigating. "They're gonna take your ass to jail." And I'm like, "Shut up, Titus. They're not going to jail. We're speeding. Just tell them, hey, you're in a hurry, and you were getting sleepy. You just wanted to get where you were going." And I said, "Roll all the windows down, turn the lights on in the car, 10 and 2, put your hands on the steering wheel, make sure that they disarmed, and say, 'How you doing, officer?' Speak to him." So that's my job. That was my role. I always was coaching.
It's just like the thing you have in you, Mark. You just know what to do.
And listen, I try to do stuff the right way, and that's paid off for me in my life.
I love that. Who's the strongest guy you've ever been in the ring with?
Ooh, probably Cena.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Cena and Brock and Big Show. Like all of them were strong in different ways. Like Brock, athletic, explosive, strong. But John could bench 500 pounds and squat 700 pounds. Like that dude was strong as shit. You hear me? Big Show was mutant strong. Like everything that he did was easier for him because he was a giant. And he worked out too. So, like they all were different in different ways.
What's the worst rib you ever had played on you and the best one you ever played on somebody?
The worst one is Vince playing the practical joke on me and playing Sin Cara's music and me going to the ring and nobody came out. And I got real angry, and it was not becoming to my character because I don't get angry very often. But when I do, it's very entertaining to the people watching because it's not good to see me angry. The best one I ever played, Brian Christopher kept on ribbing me on the road, and I knew it was about the rain, and I put shampoo on his windshield wipers.
No, so they got all soapy. That's actually really clever.
God rest his soul, man. I miss him.
Oh. What's the one question that fans are always asking you?
Did you kiss that old lady? And I said, yeah, man. I put my tongue in her mouth and everything.
I was gonna say, do they even have follow-up questions after that? Because what do you say after that? You're left
After
stunned.
that, you just gotta just walk off.
Yeah, like, I just keep walking.
I have no more questions.
Same here. I gotta move on. Gotta move on. All right. With the moniker "World's Strongest Man," did anyone in the locker room ever try to challenge your strength?
No, nobody never challenged me. They got to see me do things that, are going to well outlive me. And it wasn't a moniker. A moniker is what you call somebody. Being the world's strongest man is who I was because I earned it. That was the difference. Being sexual chocolate was a moniker. I always say if you want to see strength, me bending frying pans and holding cars back and picking up the side of vehicles and the back of vehicles don't rival at all. Even towing the 2 semi trucks does not rival me breaking the chain, breaking the master lock, because that was, all you got to do is go buy a link chain, go buy a master lock. You don't even have to buy the biggest master lock, like the one that I broke. Buy a smaller one and go out there and pull on it and try to break it and see what it feels like. Like, for me to do that, master lock should be paying me right now because I talk about them all the time.
Man, what's your favorite and least favorite thing about podcasting?
My least favorite thing about it is usually the people don't know you. So they ask you questions that you've answered those questions before, but you kind of feel like some of it is out of line. Like, I don't know if you should be asking me that. But see, me knowing you, like,
I was gonna say, did I ask any questions I shouldn't have asked?
No, you never asked me nothing. You never asked me nothing insensitive or prying.
Right.
Sometimes they'll ask you stuff that's prying, like they're trying to get you to say something bad. Like, so did Vince McMahon ever seem like a pervert to you?
Set you up for clickbait,
and
right?
I'll be like, man, fuck you, man. Like, don't do that. Like, I hate it when people try to get you.
Yeah.
And I respect people like you that don't do that love the business, and they interviewing you because they want to know something, or they want their fan base to know about you the way you know them. And that's the way I felt about this one.
I love that. Thank you so much. What's the best dish you've ever cooked? Or what's the best dish you cook?
I think my gumbo stands up to anybody in New Orleans gumbo. My mom was a great chef. My grandmother was a great chef. I got a friend of mine, Jade in New Orleans, or in Baton Rouge. He beat Bobby Flay. I told him my execution and process, and he went, damn, man, I bet man, we got to get you to New Orleans. We got to get you to Louisiana.
I want to see you versus Bobby Flay.
I'm like, come on, man. I'm with it. Let's go.
Oh my God. All right. Last question for you. If you could go back and relive any memory in your wrestling career, which would it be?
Being in the ring with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 22. I never felt more accomplished. The only thing that rivals it is being in the ring with Randy Orton and winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And when I told Randy, I said, Randy, I get asked this question all the time, and I don't want you to hear this question or hear this answer and be offended. People ask me all the time about, you know, uh, what was my greatest moment in wrestling. And I tell him that is being in the main event at WrestleMania with The Undertaker. And he went, shit, it's mine too. He said, I've been in the ring with a lot of people. I won a lot of championships. But being in the ring with The Undertaker by far passes them all. And I went, thank you. Because I was very nervous walking up here to you and telling you that.
Aw. Oh my gosh. Well, Mark, I gotta tell you, I had the best time doing this interview with you. It just like flew by. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I've taken up so much of his time. But I seriously want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me and chatting with me here today. Before we
You
go,
finna get clicks.
that what?
I said you're about to get some clicks.
Oh, I'm gonna get them clicks. I'm gonna clickbait everything. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be like, Mark Henry hates when you set him up for bad moments.
Yeah, tell them that. Let them know because they only got one time to do it before I'll never come on with them again.
But seriously, thank you so much, and please tell the people where they can like follow you, support you, check out some of the stuff that you've got going on, Remix Rumble, all of that.
You know what? I am DJing with Remix Rumble at the Roxy at in Cleveland, coming up at SummerSlam. Go to themarkhenry.com and you can get all the information, as well as I'm The Mark Henry on everything social media. There's always clips and videos of what I'm doing next. I'm working with All Caribbean Wrestling. We might need to have you come down and do media for us. I mean, a free trip to the Bahamas.
I was gonna say I'm there tomorrow, Mark. Sign me up.
Well, not right now. Not right now. It's a hurricane going on. And my prayers and thoughts go out to all the people that had property damaged, and they said there was 7 confirmed deaths in Jamaica, and that's horrible, man. Like, it's always bad when it's an act of God, but you know what? God got us all. So hopefully the families realize that we're thinking about them.
All Caribbean Wrestling, though, we talked about that on Busted Open. Very cool stuff there that you're doing. I'm excited to see what that looks like, honestly, because it's a totally, I've never been there, never seen it. So I think that it's definitely something new and something different for people to check out. So I'm going to post all of the links to that in the description box below, where you can find all of everything that Mark just mentioned. Thank you so much to Mark Henry for doing this interview. Thank you so much to everybody for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.